What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and we are doing some LS stuff today. We have Joe G and his, I think it's a 98, whatever it is, it's a 4th gen F body, and it is here for a bunch of Texas speed goodies. It has long tube headers, a true dual exhaust. It's getting those things. It doesn't have those things. Right now it's got like stock stuff. It's got a replaced catalytic converter on the passenger side, a factory catalytic converter on the driver's side. I'm sure it loves that. But it's a pretty decent car. They're fun. F-bodies are fun. It's got some decent tires on it. Has some general modifications like the cold air intake for the ram air hood. Otherwise, I don't think it has much else done to it. So what he asked us to do is put the Texas Speed ceramic coated long tubes on it, put the true dual exhaust on it. It probably needs O2 extensions, so he's supplied those. And he's done this before, but he broke the studs off in the head and it became a huge project. So he's like, you know what, it's just worth it to have somebody else do it this time. So we're happily going to oblige. He also mentioned that there's an oil leak on it, or that it consumes a good amount of oil. So upon inspection, when it was up on the lift, the oil pan gasket seems to be leaking pretty good. So now we're going to kind of change it up and just drop the whole engine and trans out of the car. We'll do the headers while it sits on the stand right here on the ground, and that'll give us a better opportunity to make sure that we get the bolts out without breaking them, and we'll be able to pull the trans off, pull the oil pan, put an oil pan gasket on, put it all back together, and then cram it all back in. And then once it's in the car, obviously we'll run the rest of the exhaust. Pretty full day considering we want to get it done by like tomorrow at lunch. So we already got the AC drained down. I'm gonna start draining the coolant out of it, and then we'll start working on disconnecting everything and trying to get it dropped out of it. What do you think, 2 hours? To get...
It's our first time, I don't know.
Yeah.
First time. See what happens. Shouldn't be too bad. First time dropping the motor.
Right.
You already said that or not?
No, I did not. I have one of these, yeah. We've fallen in love with dropping the engine out of the bottom though, so hopefully this... You know, this is what originated the reason to do it, yeah. Dan's working on some top secret squirrel stuff. We're not really supposed to be showing you guys a lot in this car, but the e-brake cable was like dragging on the wheel. Look at, like, ruined the wheel on both sides. So Dan relocated it just to the inside of the sway bar. It was on the outside. So like when he was backing up, it was probably pinching in here, causing problems, but then it also just wore through it. So Dan got that fixed.
I'd rather explaining stuff that they can't see.
Yeah. And he's really been hustling on putting some other stuff in it, but anyway, that's all you can see on the V. Let's get started on the Camaro. All right, if you're watching this, it's Corona, day 1. We paused the Camaro project because we need to run, secure supplies. It's dangerous. We don't know what's gonna happen. There's been 30 cases confirmed in the country. So now we have to shut everything down.
All right, you're done here.
Oh, Jesus, such a... So but all jokes aside, we got the engine getting ready to come out of the Camaro. And we are actually running to the supply stores and stuff. There's a rumor going around that something might happen. You guys know as well as I do, it's a nationwide thing. So we're gonna, you know, we don't want to be, well, it's just a joke, and then be caught with our dick in our hand when it turns out to not be a joke, which is what is causing the mass hysteria anyway. So we're gonna go run around, go to the bank, and then come back to the shop and finish working on the Camaro. go about our regular day. So anyway, I'm gonna date you guys when we get back. All right, we weathered the storm. We went to some places. We got some stuff so we can survive the lockdown, the shutdown. No more than 10 people are allowed to coagulate in one place. But now we're back working on the Camaro. We gotta take the rest of the exhaust off. And then we have the majority of the things in the engine bay ready to come off, so we can start dropping that out. You see our poor attempt at draining the coolant system is all over the floor, per usual. And a lot of the stuff is unhooked up here. So all we gotta do, get the exhaust off and then start worrying about K-member and suspension stuff so we can lower that onto our cradle. Woo, she's coming out. I'm getting too high up in the air for my own good.
Getting a little further, we finally got everything out.
There she is.
So what do we got here? We got a Hawk Motorsports shifter.
How's it going, buddy? Man.
Oh. I don't know.
And now comes the rest of the fun. Got to pull the headers off. PCV stuff. It's got to get checked out. Oh wow, look at that. Oh, that's some good.
Top of the strap.
Some good stuff.
Strap.
That's okay. That's not actually that bad.
Crusty.
I don't know why that's so crusty. Well, all out. Now we just gotta tear down take the headers off and
That's it. That's all I get.
go from there. Beautiful. Now just zip, 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 zip. Start blasting shit apart.
What's first?
I think first we're gonna try to get the headers off without breaking any bolts off, but they're really prone to breaking, so fingers crossed it doesn't happen. Then we're gonna probably take once the headers are off and we know that that's not gonna cause more headaches, probably take the trans off, knock the oil pan out really quick, because it'll be easy to access the motor mount bolts, and then we'll just hoist this whole thing off of here. But just hold it up in the air more than likely, blast the oil pan off, put the new gasket on it, put that back on. And then get it back to this point, and in which case we'll start putting the headers on it.
So what's happening here, Nick?
We are not breaking header bolts
Just sending it.
yet. And we're using a cautious burst fire method that has been proven to do this time and time again with
Well, didn't we spray it down
good
with PV
results.
blaster before?
I did sprayed them
Yeah.
a couple days ago. Whether that helped or not, I don't know. They do have a little bit of oil on them, so.
One more, we're gonna get lucky.
The impossible is possible.
Give me the loot.
Hey.
Oh man.
What do we got? So I was just going to change the
Damn it, Dan.
Sorry. And the trans is holding the motor up.
FYI.
Okay, well it's still on.
Okay.
Got one bolt.
Anyway, I was going to change the spark plugs, because we're doing spark plugs, wires, long tubes, all that jazz. And these back two cylinders were finger tight. I have not loosened these, on my honor.
Well, we're
You
gonna.
should be able to see the carbon build up past the seat.
It says in the box.
Are these still tight?
These ones we haven't touched.
Oh, we haven't tried that side yet, yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Well, we'll see.
You got one?
I mean, these two were loose before I even put a wrench on them. I put the wrench on the one, and I was like, something's wrong with this one.
Well, that's a ratchet, so.
Smile, guys. Woo! That's a thumbnail. Oh, it goes. Well, things escalated rather quickly here at Streetcar Shenanigans headquarters, and how can you tear apart an F-body this far, spend all this time and energy to get it this far, and not put a camshaft in it? So I voiced that to the owner, and he's like, I've been thinking about it since you sent me the picture of it. I gotta do it. So now we're putting it on the engine stand because we're just gonna get it ready to put a cam swap in it. We are ordering he plans on putting a little bit bigger head, more intake and throttle body on it later on this year. So we're gonna put a stage 3 BTR in it in preparation to have a little more airflow. That cam's probably a little bit too big for this current combination. Maybe many of you guys will disagree and say you can run that in anything, but for an off-the-shelf camshaft, that's what we're gonna go with. Something very simple that'll complement the long tube headers without getting crazy high up to make the street drivability of the stick shift rough. You know, they recommend like a 2800 stall converter for that stage 3, which is like perfect for a stick shift car. So that's what Dan and Mikey are getting this thing geared up for. How's the clutch look? Is it junk?
It's junk. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Oh yeah, she's not, oh man, she's done. Yeah, let me take a couple pictures of that. Okay, see fucker. There you go. Well, at least we can turn the flywheel.
She's been heated up a little
Yeah, I was gonna say she got hot.
All right, escalated once again. Stage 5 clinger. It's never going away. It was supposed to be here for like a grand total of 12 hours. That's what we allotted for this. Now it will be here for much longer than that.
Not much. But yeah.
Extra day. As long as the parts get here tomorrow, which they won't. So that's good. All right, I'm gonna go finish up ordering the parts for this. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe down below. I know we got a lot of new subscribers in the last few days. We have a lot of parts that showed up for the stock Cobra video. So if you are tuning in from that video, thank you so much for joining us. Got a huge pile of boxes for that. Once this Camaro's out of the way, that Mustang is gonna be going full speed. Not sure if any of you guys are into watercrafts also, but sitting behind me is a new Larson Speed toy. This is a 2011 Liberator. It's a basically like a modified tunnel. It is absolutely beautiful. It was owned by Ron Brandt. We just purchased it from him. The engine is not currently on it, but it is a 260, 2.5. We have a couple different sets of heads for it, so we can run a few different types of fuels. And that's going to be wicked. Arguably one of the best sounding internal combustion engines, in my opinion. It's 2-stroke, about 300 horsepower plus. Depending on what kind of RPM you turn, this one will probably go about 8,500. And on a boat like this, with just like a pleasure cruising prop, probably gonna get about 100 miles an hour out of it rather easily, which on water is flying. The previous owner was racing this boat sometimes, and he's had it way north of 110. So we probably won't do much with it at that speed. But that's what we always say. So we'll see what happens with this thing. It's gonna sound wicked. We're gonna bring it to you guys on the channel as well. It's gonna be another fun content producer that, and it's really for Dad. It's Dad's toy. We're really racing the Cobra a lot. He's happy with that, but he wanted to go back to the water. That's where his roots are. So he bought himself something nice, which is pretty sweet. We had a different boat before we started the channel, and it was big. It was like a pleasure cruiser. It was a speedboat, but it wasn't really fast, and it wasn't really his speed. So this is definitely more his speed. Mercury Racing does some ingenious stuff, and their two-stroke V6s are super sick. So anyway, let's get back to the car content. Back to this.